I guess we are sort of ready to begin now. If we can dim down the lights, that would be really good. Can everyone see the screen clearly? Okay. All right. Hello everyone. Our name is Tajwar, and welcome to the first community town hall. This is a series that we're hopefully going to recur every year, and এটা আমরা elder care এর পক্ষ থেকে করছি. So today we have a very special guest with us. This is Miss Anne Whelan. Anne is the CEO of Seafair Capital. It's a holding company in Canada, and she has had a lot of experience expanding a very small caregiving service based in Newfoundland, Canada, into a now group of companies. And Ukhane, there's multiple such community healthcare based services that are being offered. Besides Anne, we have the rest of the elder care team with us today. So Abul Kalam Azad, who is our head of finance for elder care, is sitting there on the very far left for you guys. And we have Fawzia Zabin, who is the operations manager for elder care. She's the person sitting on the far right. And I am Tajwar Haq, and I look after business development for elder care. So it might seem odd যে আমি English বাংলা mix করে বলছি, but it's because there's an audience over here and there's also an audience over there who will not be able to understand everything if I said it in just Bangla. So for this reason, I'm just going to ask Fawzia to join me so that she can help cover some stuff in Bangla as well, and I'll cover some stuff in Bangla and English, and we'll just wing this along because it's a very small homely gathering at this point. So আপনারা যারা যারা আসতে পেরেছেন সবার জন্য thank you and welcome to the first community town hall. Okay. The very first thing that we should start with is why elder care. Elder care সার্ভিসটা কেন থাকা উচিত? I think এটার জন্য আমাদের যিনি operations manager সে সবচেয়ে ভালোভাবে বলতে পারবে. Fawzia will be the best person to explain why a service like elder care exists, right? So Fawzia.
থ্যাংক ইউ তারুর ভাই। শুভ সন্ধ্যা সবাইকে। আমি ফাজিয়া দেবী। আমি গত 1 বছর ধরে এল্ডার কেয়ার প্রোগ্রামের সাথে কাজ করছি এবং কেন এল্ডার কেয়ারের প্রয়োজন সেটা বলতে গেলে একটা জিনিস সবার আগে বলতে হবে যে আমরা যদি আমাদের রিসেন্ট স্ট্যাটিস্টিকটা দেখি আমাদের দেশে কিন্তু ওল্ডার পিপলের সংখ্যা কিন্তু আগের থেকে বেড়েছে এবং লাইফ কোয়ালিটি ইমপ্রুভ হওয়ার কারণেই কিন্তু এটা পসিবল হয়েছে। বাট যে হারে আমাদের এই ট্রেন্ডটা গ্রো আপ হয়েছে সেই হারে কিন্তু আমাদের সকল সুবিধা যে সুবিধাগুলো এই ওল্ডার পিপলদের জন্য প্রয়োজন সেটা কিন্তু হয়নি, যার কারণে এই বয়স্ক মানুষরা কিন্তু সবচেয়ে বেশি এখন সাফার করছে। কারণ তাদের বয়সের সাথে সাথে যে প্রবলেমগুলো তারা ফেস করছে তারা কিন্তু খুব সহজে এটা কাউকে বলতে পারছে না এবং আমরা যারা তাদের ফ্যামিলি মেম্বার আমরা সবাই আমাদের নানান কাজে এবং প্রয়োজনে এত বেশি ব্যস্ত থাকি যে আমরা আসলে অতটুকু সময় করে উঠতে পারি না। তো আমাদের এই প্রোগ্রামটা আসলে ঠিক ওই জায়গা থেকেই কাজ করতে এসছে যে এই যে ওল্ডার পিপল যে এই যে জেনারেশনটা যারা আমাদের হাত ধরে এই পর্যন্ত আমাদেরকে নিয়ে এসছে আমরা যাতে তাদের ওই সমস্যাটা সলভ করতে পারি, আমরা যাতে তাদের পাশে দাঁড়াতে পারি এবং এটা শুধু একটা সেবার জন্য নয়, এটা একটা রিটার্ন ব্যাকের জন্য যে যাদের রাস্তা অনুসরণ করে আমরা এখানে আজকে এসেছি তাদেরকে যাতে আমরা সেই সম্মান সেই সাহায্যটুকু দিতে পারি। তো এটার মেইন জিনিসটাই কিন্তু এভাবেই শুরু হয়েছিল। তো আমি যদি এখন বলি যে আমরা সবাই তো একটা সার্টেন এজের পরে ওই গ্রুপ অফ পিপলের মধ্যেই চলে যাব, কিন্তু আমরা কি বুঝতে পারি যে তারা যারা এখন 60 আপ বয়সে আছে তারা কত ধরনের সমস্যায় পড়ছে, তারা কি কি প্রবলেমগুলো ফেস করছে? আমরা কিন্তু এই বয়সে এখন এই জিনিসগুলো বুঝতে পারছি না। তো আমাদের এই বিশেষ প্রয়োজনটা বোঝার জন্য কিন্তু আমাদের এই প্রোগ্রামটা সেখানে দাঁড়িয়ে আছে যাতে তাদেরকে এই সাহায্যটুকু আমরা করতে পারি।
Fawzia যেগুলো বলছে সেটার সাথে জাস্ট আমি একটু অ্যাড করতে চাবো। So Fawzia just covered the fact that as healthcare improves there will be a lot of people who are going towards the senior citizen population, right? So it's not a surprise at all that we would need something like elder care, ওরকম একটা সার্ভিস দরকার আমাদের. Um, I think at this point it's very useful if all of us sort of imagines what it's like to be old, right? You have spent all your life caring for your loved ones, and you completely understand that they have their own priorities now. Part of growing up is letting them take their own steps and stepping out of the nest. But in doing all that, you find yourself a bit alone because everyone's doing their own thing. Your health is deteriorating. Your sensory inputs are slowly deteriorating. To just show an example of how it feels, let's watch a quick video, right, of what it's like to have clear vision versus what happens when you have cataracts in your eyes, right? Your vision becomes very dull, it's dirty, it's dusty, it feels like there's a film in front of your eyes, and apni color dekhte paren na. Reds and purples become very difficult to see. Bright lights often take you by surprise, and this is what it feels to have a vision that's impaired by cataracts. But চোখে ছানি পড়া যেটা বলে, which is a very common thing for elderly people, right? At the same time, your hearing is impaired. কেউ আপনার সাথে কথা বললে আপনি হয়তো ঠিকভাবে শুনতে পারছেন না, আপনি বলছেন. It's frustrating. It's very complex what you're feeling, right? So এই elderly মানুষদের জন্য আমাদের একটা সার্ভিস থাকা অত্যন্ত জরুরি, রাইট? তো এর জন্যই আজকে আমরা আসলে এল্ডার কেয়ারের মতো একটা সার্ভিস দেখতে পাচ্ছি, কারণ এই গ্রুপ অফ পিপলদের আসলে we need to care for them just as much as they cared for us when we were small or when we were in our middle ages, right? So what is elder care today? আজকে elder care কি? তো ফজিয়াকে again আমি মাইকটা দিব বিকজ ও এই প্রোগ্রামটা সবচেয়ে ভালোভাবে বুঝতে পারে, ও ডে টু ডে এটা চালায়, তো ও বলতে পারবে. তো ফজিয়া.
থ্যাংক ইউ ভাইয়া. সো যেটা আমরা বলছিলাম যে আমাদের যারা এজিং পিপল আছে তারা কিন্তু অনেক ধরনের সমস্যা ফেস করে. এটা অনেক সময় শুধুমাত্র লোনলিনেসের কারণে হয়, যেটা একাকিত্বতা ভোগ করছে. অনেক সময় ক্রনিক্যাল ডিজিজের কারণে অনেক ধরনের সমস্যা ফেস করেন, যেটা ভাইয়া অলরেডি ভিডিওতে দেখিয়েছেন যে ভিশনটা কিভাবে মানুষকে কষ্ট দিতে পারে. হয়তো আপনার আমার জন্য কিন্তু খুবই ইজি এই জিনিসটা, হয়তো আপনি 1 সেকেন্ড বা 2 সেকেন্ড এটা দেখেছেন তাই অত বেশি ইফেক্ট করছে না, বাট যারা কন্টিনিউয়াসলি এই জিনিসটাকে অনুভব করছে, এক্সপিরিয়েন্স করছে, তাদের জন্য কিন্তু খুবই কষ্ট. এবং তারা কিন্তু এই ভিশন বা এই ধরনের আরো যে প্রবলেমগুলো আছে যেগুলো আমাদের জন্য খুব নর্মাল, কিন্তু তাদের জন্য কিন্তু বিভিন্ন ধরনের বাধা সৃষ্টি করে. তো আমরা এই ধরনের কনজিউমারদের নিড বুঝে, ওনাদের প্রবলেমটা বুঝে আমরা কিন্তু আমাদের প্রোগ্রামটাকে সেই লেভেল অনুযায়ী ডিজাইন করেছি. হয়তো কারোর জন্য শুধুমাত্র অ্যাকম্পানিয়ন দেওয়াটাই মেইন জিনিস, তার হয়তো অন্য কোনো সমস্যা নেই, শুধুমাত্র তার একাকিত্বটা যাতে না থাকে, তাকে টাইমলি কেউ এসে খোঁজ খবর নিচ্ছে, তাকে বিভিন্ন প্রতিদিনকার কাজে কোনো কিছুতে অ্যাসিস্ট করছে, এটাই তার জন্য অনেক বেশি. আবার কেউ আছেন যারা অনেক বেশি বা বিভিন্ন ধরনের রোগে ভুগছেন, কিন্তু তারা জানেন না ঠিক কিভাবে নিজের কেয়ারটা নেওয়া যায়. হয়তো যখন ডক্টরের কাছে যাচ্ছেন, যখন ইনস্ট্রাকশন পাচ্ছেন, তখন বুঝতে পারছেন যে হ্যাঁ, এই নর্মাল কিছু জিনিস করলে কিন্তু ভালো থাকা যায়, বাট ওই নর্মাল জিনিসগুলো করাটা যে তাদের বয়সে কতটুকু ডিফিকাল্ট সেটা কিন্তু আপনারা না দেখলে বা ওই বয়সে না গেলে বোঝা যায় না. তো আমরা আমাদের কেয়ার গিভার যারা এই ধরনের পেশেন্টদেরকে কেয়ার করছে তাদেরকে কিন্তু ওই ক্লায়েন্টের বেস বুঝে, ওনার রিকোয়ারমেন্ট বুঝেই কিন্তু ওনাদেরকে ট্রেন আপ করে থাকি, সো দ্যাট ওনারা যাতে ওই বাসায় গিয়ে, যেহেতু আমরা সার্ভিসটা ইনহাউস প্রোভাইড করি, তো এই কেয়ার গিভার যাতে ওই বাসায় গিয়ে ওই ক্লায়েন্টের সাথে থেকে তাকে সেই সেবাগুলো নিশ্চিত করতে পারে. তো আরেকটা যেটা জিনিস ছিল যে যেহেতু আমাদের, আপনারা অলরেডি অনেকেই জানেন যে আমাদের সাজিদা হসপিটাল আছে, তো ওখান থেকেও কিন্তু আমরা অনেক সময় ট্রেনিং নিয়ে থাকি, অনেক ব্যাপারে আলোচনার মাধ্যমে, অনেক ব্যাপারে বিভিন্ন ডায়াগনোসিসের ব্যাপারে এই জিনিসগুলো কিন্তু ওনারা আমাদেরকে জানতে সাহায্য করেন. হয়তো আমরা যারা এখন কাজ করছি হয়তো অনেক কিছু মিস আউট করে যাই, কিন্তু যখন আমরা এরকম মিটিংয়ে আসি, যখন আমরা কথা বলি একটা স্পেসিফিক প্রবলেম নিয়ে, আমরা যখন ক্লায়েন্টের কাছ থেকে ফিডব্যাক নিয়ে বুঝতে পারি যে তারা কোন বিশেষ অংশতে প্রবলেম ফেস করছে, তখন কিন্তু এগুলো আমরা ইনহাউস মিটিংয়ের মাধ্যমে যারা আমাদের অলরেডি এক্সপার্টিস আছে তাদের সাথে কথা বলে এই প্রবলেমগুলোর সলিউশনটা আনতে সাহায্য করি এবং আমাদের কেয়ার গিভারকে বোঝানোর চেষ্টা করি.
Thank you, Fawzia. So, Fawzia, whatever she explained right now goes hand in hand with the service that we're trying to provide in reality, right? Elder care is a quality in-home delivered service where we try to make assistive living possible for the elderly and for those who are chronically ill through trained and compassionate caregivers. And SAJIDA Foundation, the main body that's behind elder care program, they actually have quite a bit of experience in healthcare. So, আমাদের নিজস্ব we have some hospitals that we have. And they're around Dhaka city in Narayanganj and Kearneyganj, and we try to use their expertise in developing our training modules, in sourcing our caregivers, and overall very highly needed or highly technical parts of the caregiving process. Wherever we face those difficulties, we try to rely on our hospitals. So that's basically what elder care is today. What's the overall goal for elder care? I would say it's to create a safe environment for our clients, which are the elderly people, and we try to provide them some basic services such as assisted living. We try to give them nursing services based on some pre-standing health conditions or some other complex issues that they have, and we try to ensure that it's a 24/7 available service. We've recently started growing our emergency care services as well. So this is what essentially is elder care today, right? So I will be going slightly into like just the breakdown of the services that we provide, but we've already covered most of it in talking right now. So you can see that we provide personal care, recovery assistance, chronic care, physiotherapy at home, doctor's visit at home, as well as medical and assistive devices supplying at home, right? And these caregivers that we have, we are delivering these services through 3 levels of caregivers. You can think of them as sort of packages or service levels. So they're the L1 or level 1 type of caregiver, the L2 type of caregiver, and the L3 type of caregiver. The L1 is the most basic type of caregiver where they help you with daily assisted living. L2 and L3 are a little more experienced, with L3 being sort of, more intense ICU-based nurses that are trained in ICUs who try to help you out after you've already spent some time in the ICU and you need to recover at home. So that's basically the services that we are providing, and we are working around the clock or trying to develop ourselves into be able to do that properly. And getting in touch with us and booking an appointment is pretty easy. You just find us online on our page or Google about us and just call us on our hotline. Those are just some 3 ways of booking an appointment, and that's it. You get started with getting services after that, right? So now we're going to go into what are some recent changes that we've brought along in elder care. So today's session, I probably should have said this towards the beginning to give everyone some kind of direction, like where we are headed with today's community town hall. We're going to discuss the recent changes that we've brought in elder care, the program. We're going to discuss some of the future goals that we've set out for ourselves, the roadmap, and we're going to discuss some of the ongoing challenges. And in between all that, Anne is going to share her special keynote, which would be a covering of her experience of growing healthcare community-based services in Canada. So some of the recent changes that we've introduced, I think at this point I'd invite our finance main man, the focal point for all of the finance and billing activities at elder care, Abul Kalam Azad Bhai with me, so that he can talk about some of the refinements we've done in our own internal processes in the last 1 year. So Azad Bhai.
Thank you, Tazir Bhai. As I'm the finance guy, I'll be talking about boring things for sure. So I won't take much time. And recently, we have gone through several process improvements, mainly in billing and financials. And usually, we are used to making bills and rostering on manual process. Then we have gone through our IT teams and our manual systems, and we have introduced automated processes in our billing and rostering. And we also introduced online payments for our clients, as most of our clients, key contact persons living in abroad, we had faced a lot of problem collecting payment from them. And now they can pay through our online gateway. it made their life easier and our processes more smoother. And we have also, as we are providing lots of services like caregiving, physiotherapy, assistive device, and on-call doctors, usually we had to bill separately for separate services. And now we are using an integrated invoicing system that includes all the services in one umbrella, and all the processes reduced our time for each steps. And our target is to provide the clients ultimate satisfaction in terms of billing, financials, and their queries regarding finance. I think now we are in a pretty good shape regarding our financials and billings. And we have also give our clients access to our database so they can watch in real time what services their parents and their relatives are getting, and what physiotherapy services, what assistive devices they are getting in real time. They have their own password and own ID, and they can see their bills, how they are accumulating against various services. So all the things are ultimately getting us to one step closer to give customers ultimate satisfaction for this service. And recently, me and Tazwar Bhai went India to see the home health care business, how they are performing this whole thing more smoothly. So we have learned so many things, and we have sorted out various steps and gaps we can implement in near future and in the long run. So we have designed a roadmap for that, and also we will learn today from Anne. Then that will reshape our strategy and goal so that we can earn ultimate customer satisfaction from this service. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Azad. Truly what Azad just shared, that really helped us make our internal processes towards billing and financial calculations much smoother, far more efficient, so that now we're able to service our clients better. So if I just quickly go over some of the points that Azad Bhai just spoke about. So we've made some recent changes for our internal processes. We used to have a lot of manual calculations. They are now all automated. Our scheduling, which used to be manual at some point as well, where we would literally try to map which caregiver should go to which patient at what time, and then let them know beforehand, the night before. All of those things have become software driven right now. So we're doing all of those things using our own in-house developed software. We've worked out with a vendor who has been very helpful in designing the software with us. The other recent changes that we have made in the last 1 year have been focused on our people. By our people, I mean the actual people who are working at the front lines, the caregivers. So we have provided improved training sessions for them, and these training sessions have been developed in collaboration of our hospitals and the expertise that the hospitals bring, as well as outside consultants. Consultants from Canada, they really helped us design some of the modules. We have consultants from India who helped us design some of the modules. And what else we've done for our caregivers? We've now set them a minimum salary expectation that they can have. So there's a minimum number of hours that we're promising everyone. These small changes have really been made to make sure our caregivers see this industry as something promising for them, because right now the nursing industry really exists only in hospitals. No one recognizes the potential in home health care, right? What else we've done for our caregivers? We've tried to give them some dignity in their work, because I will be getting into it a little bit more. In their type of work, where they're working very closely in someone's home, it's easy to forget that this is at the end of the day a service being delivered rather than a person that you've hired yourself. And they often have those upsetting times where they feel like, I am not being regarded as my own self, I am being treated as a maid. So in order to combat all of those things in a constructive way, we have started trying to give them some of that dignity back. So we've given them some professional dresses. and we've given them some ID cards, and I'll share like what we've planned for them in the coming few years as well in the future roadmap. So for our processes, for our people, we have made some changes. The last bit of changes, where actually it's the most bit of changes, have been all for our clients. So our clients can have assistive devices at home now. This is something that we recently started doing. They used to have manual billing of their services. Now it's all automated. Like Asad Bhai was saying, they can, if they want, they can log into a dashboard and see what's outstanding and settle their bills. And there's an online payment gateway for them as well. We have on-call doctors and the physiotherapy services. These have been new additions. So those are all very good. Emergency services, very small team still, but we have invested in it, and we plan on growing that out as we experience more and are able to get more human resources into that team. We have ambulance arrangement services now for our clients, and we have supervisor visits through our nurses to our clients' homes now. So these are all recent changes that we have made for our clients. So Fawzia, do you just want to very quickly say something?
এখানে বলার জাস্ট একটা জিনিসই আমি বলবো, সেটা হচ্ছে যে এই যে সার্ভিসগুলো আমরা এখন দেখতে পাচ্ছি, এই সার্ভিসগুলো আমরা কিছুটা অনেক আগে থেকেই ছিল, বাট এত ফর্মাল ওয়েতে ছিল না। বাট এখন আমরা সবাইকে এই সার্ভিসগুলোর ব্যাপারে জানাচ্ছি, এবং বিশেষ করে ইমার্জেন্সি সার্ভিস, অ্যাম্বুলেন্স সার্ভিস এবং সুপারভাইজার ভিজিট সম্পর্কে যদি বলি, সেটা হচ্ছে যে আমাদের কেয়ার গিভারকে সুপারভাইজ করার জন্য কিন্তু আমাদের নার্স আছেন। তো এই নার্সরাই কিন্তু কিছু সময় পর পর আমাদের ক্লায়েন্টের হোমগুলোতে ভিজিটে যায়, এবং এই ভিজিটের মেইন উদ্দেশ্যটাই হচ্ছে যাতে তারা মনিটর করতে পারেন যে এই কেয়ার গিভাররা কিভাবে সেই বাসাগুলোতে কাজ করছে। তো ওনারা এই মনিটরিং এর বেসিসে কিন্তু তাদেরকে আরো ভালোভাবে যাতে কাজ করতে পারে, তারা যদি কোনো মিস্টেক করছে, কোনো কিছু যদি বুঝতে পারছে না, তখন অন দ্য স্পট যাতে তারা তাদেরকে ট্রেন করে ওই কাজটা ভালো করে করার সাহায্য করতে পারে। তো এই জিনিসগুলো আমরা শুরু করেছি। তো আমরা হোপ করছি যে আরো সামনের পথে চলতে আমরা আরো কিছু ইনভেস্ট করব এবং আরো কিছু আমাদের সার্ভিসের সাথে অ্যাড করব, সো দ্যাট আমরা যখন কাউকে সার্ভিস দিচ্ছি তারা যাতে পুরোটাই আমাদের কাছ থেকে সলিউশনটা পেতে পারে।
Thank you. So we've just covered what are some of the recent changes we've made. Now I would like to invite Anne, who's our special guest today, and she's going to share her experience with community healthcare with all of you. Anne, please.
Thank you. Let me just say everyone, and while this is starting, I'll just say first of all, thank you so very much for inviting me here to your country. I came here with Team Broken Earth, and I just want to take a minute to tell you about that. And they made me wear the shirt, which is why I have this funny navy shirt under my suit. The Team Broken Earth is a medical relief organization that was founded in Newfoundland, Canada. The name Broken Earth came up as a result of their first mission was to Haiti following the earthquakes, and a bunch of doctors got together and decided they wanted to do something to help. And so they all volunteered their time and resources and bought their own plane tickets and flew to Haiti to help do surgery, and they've been back 6 or 8 times since. The conditions in Haiti made it really not safe for them to continue there, so Team Broken Earth has expanded to other cities across North America, and it, through a chance meeting, I think with SAJIDA and Andrew Fury, our founder in London, Team Broken Earth started to come to Bangladesh. The last 3 or 4 days, there have been 6, I think, Newfoundland doctors and 6 more nurses who have educated around 150 local doctors and some midwives on neonatal care, including high-risk pregnancies and all kinds of stuff. I, of course, am not a doctor, so when I walked in the training room, they had all these babies that they fill with water to mimic what a baby is like when it's first born. It was really kind of funny, and they had, body parts and all that stuff. So they've been working really hard. Andrew invited me to come to the SAJIDA Foundation because of your interest in growing the home health care, and he and I have known each other for a few years, and so he invited me to join this mission. So let's go back to the presentation, yeah? Mm-hmm. Okay. So,
it's too washed out.
Okay. So this here is Bangladesh, and way over there is Canada. And I, of course, am from the east coast of Canada. Now, so Canada the whole way through is about this size. I'm from right here, which is the most easterly point in North America. So closest to you out of everybody in Canada. Still pretty far away, though. 35 hours of travel time, so yeah, that's pretty far. It's geographically large, Canada is, and it's very economically diverse. So when you think of Canada, you may well think of this, which is the city of Vancouver, a very beautiful city, 4,000 miles from where I live. Or the city of Toronto, which is, I think, the most multicultural city in the world, and truly a wonderful city. Or some people think of Canada and they think of this guy. He's very popular in certain circles. I will say that's our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. He's not as popular as he was 4 years ago. We just had a new election. He didn't do quite so well, but he's not a shiny new thing anymore. But he's still fairly popular. And he has really done a lot of things, particularly in support of women, women on corporate boards, supporting daycare, started an agenda for women's business, and really, in my opinion, has done a lot to address child poverty as well. We have those issues. Everybody thinks of North America as being, very wealthy, but we have huge income disparity, and we have a lot of the same challenges I've come to understand over the last few days. So that's where we are. And I am from right there, and the population, that whole triangle-shaped thing, is about the size of Bangladesh. And I found out that you have 160 million people, and we have 500,000. And they are scattered all over there. So we have the challenge of not enough people. You have the challenge of too many people. Well, not too many, but pretty crowded. So, and you would think it's quite different, but in some ways, it's pretty much the same issues. So this is part of the capital city of St. John's. And I did this on purpose. That's not what the rest of the city looks like. It's the oldest part of the city, and some of the fishing villages that would have been out around the edges of the city 100 years ago. But that is in our city. It's in fact a very popular tourist destination. But it looks more like here than it looks like Vancouver, which was my point in putting it in the presentation. And this is the town that I grew up in. That's pretty much all of it. And it's a very traditional place. The primary industry until 1995 was fishing, and there were about 70,000 people. Now remember, there's only 500,000 in the whole place. About 70,000 people made their living. So 1 in 3 working people made their living from fishery. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that. So now a little bit about me. I grew up there, could not wait to leave. So, girl meets boy, moved to California. We got married, moved to California. Baby arrives. That's my beautiful artwork there. And then this. Not good. Husband disappeared, and I ended up right back here again with no job. And I decided to go back to university and do my business degree. I had an undergraduate degree in English, which is English literature is not like highly valued in a place where everybody's out of work. So I went back to do a more practical business degree. And so while I was doing that, this happened. In one day, 70,000 jobs were lost. 200 communities lost their only industry. The rural areas were hit extremely hard, and women represented more than half of this workplace. I'm not going to take too long, but these women worked in fish processing and crab processing and all that, and all of a sudden, so working age people worked at these kind of jobs and as, fishermen. All of a sudden, they have no jobs. They have nowhere to go. Everybody is in the same situation. And it's between a rock and a hard place. But we have in Canada something that I'm extremely thankful for, and it is called our social safety net. And it is what gravitates us towards the middle. And I say, without judgment, but just from experience, having lived in both Canada and the US, that Canada does a much better job of this. And it's one of the things that I'm proud of in our country. And there's lots to fix, but that's one of the good things. So the social safety net offered retraining opportunities for all of these people. And that is how home care began in Newfoundland and Labrador, because half the people left and went somewhere else to work, and all the elderly people were left in these rural communities with nobody to look after them anymore. And so the government trained a lot of women, and they went to work, and the government actually paid for them to do that for a while as a model of elder care. They don't really do that now, but that is how that industry began. So it's only about 25 years old in my part of Canada anyway. So now a little bit about me, and that history is a little bit important because it'll tell you, I think, why I did what I did and what parallels with where you are in your community care vision right now. And I understand that because I've lived through a lot of it. So the group of companies that I now operate are called Seafair. So the legal name is Seafair Capital, but I just call it Seafair. And it's meant to be a bit of a play on words to honor the seafaring heritage of our part of the world, and also the fair spelled that way is a little bit of an emphasis on the women and how much work is done by women. Part of that logo didn't come out, sorry. So the foundational company is Caregivers. That's the logo, and the care and the givers. It's a black background here for some reason, and that's why you can't see those words. My apologies for that. I'll see if I can find you the logo afterwards. So Caregivers does elder care. And we do a lot of the same things that you do here. We don't actually do the level 3 care in Caregivers because in Canada, that is typically provided through the public health system. However, that is only provides so much, and so lots of people do supplement that with other forms of care. But we have other options that I don't see you have here yet that we can probably talk through. So then we started realizing that there was a lot of need to look after children, not in a daycare setting, but in a protective custodial setting when something happened in their lives and their parents could not take care of them. We do not have orphanages in Canada. They shut them down in the late 80s due to the things that have happened all over the world in orphanages. And so we have a lot of public focus and scrutiny. That is a very high-risk business, but it's very large. We are one of the largest private providers, I would think, in Canada, and certainly have a very high reputation. We started from sending in home care workers, caregivers, realized we needed to put some models underneath that, and grew this from there. And I'm just going to quickly go through these, and if you have questions at the end, I can answer more specifics. So then we realized that there's a whole group of adults who need care, although they're not elderly, because they have some developmental challenges. So we started Momentum Developmental Support only 4 years ago, and we have tremendous growth in that. It's doubled in size each of the last 2 years, and it's poised to do so again this year. And the families report such a high level of relief and satisfaction because the care is planned for them and directed for them as opposed to just babysitting or whatever, I don't know if that's the word you would use here, but it's more than minding. It's about inclusion and it's about, being part of the community. And there's a lot of focus on that in Canada right now because for a long time, people who were developmentally different, neurodiverse is the word we're using now, were very quietly hidden away in lots of families. And so I have a nephew who's profoundly autistic, who didn't speak till he was 5 years old and still has trouble communicating. And he was one of my big motivations because my sister said to me one day, Anne, what is going to happen to Peter when I'm too old to look after him? So that struck home with me too. And so by the time that happens, I hope that there's a well-developed system in Newfoundland for that. So all of those things in Canada, excuse me, make a lot of sense built into our social system. But we knew as a group that we could do more. We could do full, comprehensive elder care. The elder care in Canada is a not-for-profit business. It's not supposed to be, but it is. The way that it's reimbursed through government, and government does pay for it, there's very little room for any return if you want to provide quality care, and we want to provide quality care. And I'll stop and say a little bit about that. Every one of these businesses is accredited by the highest accrediting body in Canada. And that is a strategic choice that we made. Number one, so I could sleep at night. Number two, because every one of those clients, patients and children and adults with intellectual delays deserve that. And in Canada, we have a well-developed system of standards. And I've been talking with the elder care group this week about how we might help move that forward and help this organization possibly aspire to reach those same standards. It's a very good model, and it has served us well. It has allowed us to become standardized and predictable, but still very person-centered in our care. So we decided, like all good Canadians, if you want to make any money, you got to go to the States. So Life Home Health is actually opened as a private home care agency in Naples, Florida. If you Google Naples, Florida, you will find that it has the highest percentage of wealthy elderly people in North America. So it was not an accident that we went there. And we were counting on the good favor that many Americans have towards Canadians. They think we're polite, they think we're nice, and I was hoping that that would translate into they think we would be good caregivers, and it has. And we are, I think. Most of the time. Anyway, that's a pretty new business, about the same age as the elder care business, and we provide all levels of care. And if you want to see what's going to come your way in home care and community care in the future, Florida is the place to go because it has a lot of elderly people, not just from Florida, but all over North America because Florida is warm and it's a very tax-efficient state. A lot of older people retire to Florida, sell their house, move to Florida because the weather's nice, there's no snow, and there's so many fantastic services for seniors. This is one of the other groups. I'll just tell you that we do a lot of work with Indigenous communities, Native communities, to help them in their pursuit of better community-based health care for them and their children. And we have a company called HealthQuest that provides all sorts of equipment and medical supplies, and I won't spend long on that, but we've grown that one out as well. And then that's a medical, you can tell by looking at them, that's a medical aesthetics clinic, and the guy in the back there is Dr. Peter Sevier, a friend of mine, and I co-own that with him. He founded it, but he needed some help with the business management side of things, so we do that together. So I get this call from Andrew Fury, and that's supposed to be me, when he says, can you go to Bangladesh and see if you can help? I said, I don't know. I don't know anything about Bangladesh. I have a friend from Dhaka that I did my MBA with. He was a nice guy. That was about all I knew. and that was in 2002. So, things have changed a lot since then, is my understanding. But here I am, picking my way through it. I just love this picture. It's just getting going, just getting born and scratching your way along. And so, we're all on that journey at some level. But back to my thought on Florida, it's able to give us a lot of insight into what are trends in caregiving. And I'm talking particularly about elder care here. They're less developed on the other areas, but we can talk about that a bit if you want. But because this is an elder care town hall, the rest of it is focused on elder care. So the trend, obviously, is more and more people are choosing to stay at home. The challenge with that, of course, is home used to be filled with people of various generations, and now it is not. But people don't want to go somewhere else. It's your home, it's your community, and moving somewhere else is not the preferred option. So that is a key driver of innovation, but it also puts a lot of stress on the system because of human resource demands. The people in the middle age, the working age, there's a lot of jobs and a lot of opportunities elsewhere in the world, so they may not always stay close to home, and then that means there's a paid caregiving requirement that grows. I know that's the same here as it is. But it does drive innovation, though, when we understand that more and more and more people do not want to go to the typical long-term care facility. But there are other models, and I'll talk about that too. One of the biggest trends that I don't see here yet, but I'm sure you will see, is using advanced technology to support independent living. That's things like wearables, which detect issues. You can have a undergarment that checks your heart rate, and if you're a person who's got congestive heart failure or something, can signal if there are issues. I'll tell you a little story. A friend of ours, Dr. Lada, who is probably 80, got himself an Apple Watch, and he was in the movie theater watching a movie, and his watch kept going off, and he said, I didn't set an alarm. And finally, after it went off the third time, he looked at it, and it said, you need to go to the hospital. You have a racing heart rate. And he said, I would not have noticed it. I thought I was watching the movie and getting, because it was an action movie. So he went to the hospital, and they hooked him up to the EKG, and they immediately put him into surgery and did a valve replacement and said, you could have died from that had this wearable not told you to go to the hospital. So this is a really simple example, but there are a lot of advanced technologies in that area that we're seeing in Florida. Artificial intelligence, predicting. So if your caregiver was logging in a system every day indicators of health like pulse rate or dietetic intake, nutrition intake, that sorts of thing, there are some softwares out there that can predict when you might be running into trouble before something happens. Telehealth. And telehealth has been around for a while, but it was a bit like ship-to-shore radio. It wasn't really very good. But there's a lot of really advanced telehealth right now and diagnostics that can be done through computers. And I'll tell you, HealthQuest, one of the things we do is fit for orthotics. And at one point that involved standing in some kind of foam and you had to move around and do your foot that way. And now we do 3D scanning and 3D printing of a custom orthotic. So that's just an example of, and we send that away to the lab to be made and sent back. It used to take 6 weeks. It takes about 6 days now for that reason. So that's another application of telehealth. And this one here, residential choices other than nursing homes. So nursing homes, have gotten a bad reputation over the years as being places where people get parked and not attended to very much. You see some fantastic in Canada too, retirement communities that are often very much purpose-built for active living for elder care. So they're kind of 55-plus communities. They downsize into really nice condominiums, that sort of thing. And there's usually a service fee associated with exterior lands, groundskeeping, and then you can do some packages if you happen to be sick for a couple of months and need someone to come in. There's all kinds of options within that, but the idea is that you're living independently in your own house, but in a community that has those supports built in. In Florida, wow. They run from, there's some of them that have an entry fee of $500,000 because they have their own hospital in the middle. So they can run the range, but even in my own hometown, there are some very affordably priced, well, they're not cheap, but they're, within range, that are wonderful communities. And people are not stuck there. They can come and go as you want, and we talked a bit about that this week, because as your society changes, those are the kind of things that some people may choose to live in. Developing that from a real estate perspective is a significant undertaking. I have a friend who bought an old high school, and she is turning it into exactly that, and it has a small memory care unit, particularly to help people with advanced dementia, so they can go there at a certain point when independent living is no longer an option. So some of the key learnings from running this business for this long. Technology is really key to reaching people and managing care. It's absolutely essential. So we know that the older you are, the less interested you are in adopting new technology. And I say that as a person who, I did computers when I was 10 years old, but I still think about a computer as, a thing I go get and use and whatever. My daughter, it's just, there is no other way. So it's so adopted now in the younger workforce, but it's still a challenge for seniors. So the very best technology, there's all kinds of gadgets, but the very best technologies are barely visible, time-saving, data-rich, and available to all. So not just to the client, but to a caregiver, to a family member. I was sharing today the software that we use to manage our home care business, and it has a module for the employees. It has a module for the family. It has a video conferencing ability if the doctor is interested in participating. So all the information is shared in one hub, and it can link to telehealth and link to wearables so that all that data is stored there. Those are the kind of things that used to be very far-fetched that are pretty table stakes now, I would imagine, in North America. So the whole idea of caregiver exhaustion and compassion fatigue are things that we don't like to talk about, because we have a culture in Newfoundland, and I know you have a culture here as well, to honor your elders. And I appreciate that, and I'm thankful for that. But both family and paid caregivers are reporting increasing difficulty in balancing elder care with other responsibilities. And that's because the world has changed. That's because women work outside the home way more than they used to. It's because society is a faster pace. In Dhaka, it's because if you have to go somewhere in a car, it takes 2 hours. So, the amount of time you have to devote to that caregiving is less. And family demands, keeping in touch with everybody. When I was young, the thing after school was go out and play and come home when it's time to eat. Now, no. Now, if you just threw your kids out the door after school, you would be viewed as a very bad parent. So you have to have play dates, and you have to have activities, and you have to have all those things. And all of that, particularly on women, puts a big burden on being able to do that kind of care. Even if it's their job, they have all those other things they're trying to commit to, or if it's a family member, it can be really challenging. And so that whole caregiver exhaustion and compassion fatigue is a very real thing, and we try to do a lot in our organization to support our caregivers, because we look after them because they look after the people you love. And so it's really important that they're happy and they're in a good place. And we've worked hard. And I think it is probably the reason why people choose to come to work with our agency than another. In Canada, they all get paid the same because that's the way we are. So you can only compete by being the best quality. And so we have a lot of supports for that. And we hire the people who talk to our staff that way. And we talked about this the other day. If there is a situation that we have to ask an employee to go into that is really not right for them in terms of either dignity or safety, we will tell that client that we're no longer able to provide service. We don't do that lightly, recognizing that, particularly older people have, dementia issues, and sometimes the filter of what you say is a little altered. But it is one of those things that we really do make an effort to look after our caregivers. That's changed a lot from 20 years ago, when people used to refer to the caregivers, the women who used to work in the fish plant, as the fish girls. And so they're lucky to have a job and get them to paint the house, whatever. We don't do that anymore. So the next key learning was coordination of care yields the best outcomes for seniors. That's a big one, and what that means is that the people involved in care, and we talk about a circle of care as a model, they include the home care providers, they include any mental health programs, physician services, hospitals, pharmacies, sometimes faith communities are included in that as well. And all of those people are part of the caregiving team for that elder person. The home care is a big part of that, but being able to manage a dialogue between all of those parties is really what creates effective care. So there's an important role for families, there's an important role for physicians. One of the things that we talked about briefly is that technology can really enable that. If you have, for example, a family portal. Now that sounds really like it might be a really complex thing. It's not. It looks like a Facebook page that people are on as a group, but they also can have visibility on medications and things like that. It's very, very familiar to people who are used to texting or anything like that. It's not that difficult. As I said, it's barely visible. Looks just like everything else you use. And continuous quality improvement is the last key learning. So I'll tell you how I came to that. I had no clue about home care when I started to work in that business. I had just done my MBA, and I suppose that I thought I was going to get a fancy job with the bank or, the phone company. That would not have worked out very well, because phone companies are kind of gone passé now. But my mom had this small business because she was one of the educators who trained the fish ladies, as they call them. And so she started a small home care agency, and it was very small. She had retired from another job with a community college, and she was a great nurse, not that good of a business person. So along comes Anne, gets in the business as a person with an MBA who really didn't have a lot of background, or zero background in nursing. But, I was raised by that family. I had compassion and core values and all those things, but I kept looking for, how are you supposed to do this? And I realized that we were winging it, kind of. I mean, we had nurses who knew what you did, but there was no kind of standardization of how things happened. And so for me, getting that quality framework was about making sure that the service was managed to the same standard all the time, that we all understood what each other was supposed to do. And it was from that we were able to grow. Because if you know this one is running well, and you know those structures, I could branch out into the child protection things, using a lot of the same knowledge around everything from scheduling to, what works in staff orientation, what does not work, all those things, what really should you teach people. So that continuous improvement thing is really ingrained in our workplace culture. I will tell you this with a level of pride, Last year we got exemplary status, which less than 4% of organizations get. And in Canada, it's the same organization that accredits hospitals, long-term care facilities, home care agencies, anything else you can think of, ambulance services, everything. And only 4% of providers get exemplary status, and we did that. And we did it with very thin resources compared to a lot of places. And so it just goes to show that paying attention to quality over time really does help your organization stay stable. And one of the things that they do include in measuring that exemplary service is interviews with families and clients. So if they did not give us good feedback, and if what they saw in our processes was not borne out in the client's home, we would not have gotten that status. So through and through, all the way, is that quality is ingrained. So a couple of things that are happening, and I'll move along then, that are emerging. They're not really there yet, but they're happening. Concierge care, a word that I did not know a couple of years ago. I'm used to the concierge in the hotel. If you are lucky enough to stay in a hotel with a concierge, they look after everything. And so concierge care is a growing service. It's a coordinated, person-centered approach that serves the most affluent populations usually, because there's costs associated with that. But remember that circle of care that I talked about? It's essentially a service, either run by a physician usually or a nurse, that coordinates all that care. And so from the point of view of the client, it's one-stop shopping. Everything you need goes through that coordinated care. We see that a lot in Florida, and our agency provides a lot of home care services through a concierge doctor. So the doctor would be the coordinator, and they might put home care in place, they might put home renovations, and the doctor is just simply the person who decides what needs to be done and then sort of ensures that it gets done, and only gives it to reputable providers and checks in with the client regularly. We're considering a concierge care in Canada. We have a small group of clients who would be willing to pay for that, and I'm not sure how it's going to go, but I can see how. I think about my own mom, and although my dad passed away, my mom remarried, and I think about them, and they are used to snap your fingers and it shall be done. And so I tell you, I always joke and say, when either one of them gets ill, that's when the concierge care thing is starting, because if not, it's going to be me. So we're going to have to do that. I would happily do it, but I can't really do it from Bangladesh if it were to be now. So memory care is another emerging service that we see. I was so happy today when I visited the SAJIDA Mental Health Clinic that the doctor there, whose last name escapes me at the moment, the tall guy, he talked about a memory clinic that they are now doing for individuals in early stages of dementia. That is fantastic. I wish he worked near me. But both home and facility-based memory care is really working at lessening cognitive decline. So we know, for example, that if we can keep you in familiar surroundings and we can keep you engaged in activities that stimulate your memory, so there's a lot of cognitive stimulation involved in that, we can help to slow down the effects of dementia from Alzheimer's or other dementia-related illnesses. There's some fantastic work being done in that, and that isn't all high-tech. That can be about remembering songs. That can be about engaging in social activities that you used to do, even if you can't do all of it. So we have a client that we help her bake bread, and she makes the bread, and the rhythmic kneading she can do, but she can't remember the recipe. So we help with all that, and she loves it when the bread comes out of the oven. That would be, but it's purposeful. It's not we accidentally made bread. That's our activity plan for the day. And that is really a growing service. And finally, active living. So not all care is for the frail. There's a growing emphasis on seniors' wellness. So you'll see in Florida all kinds of yoga groups, nutrition sessions, gentle movement, the whole conversation about neuroplasticity, which is we use patterns in our brain, and if we are able to get the brain to use other patterns, we are protected from cognitive decline in one area. So, for example, if you brush your teeth with your right hand all your life, you're pretty good at this. If you try to do it with your left hand, your toothbrush is up there. So I remember seeing this doctor who said, brush your teeth standing on one foot, then brush them standing on the other foot, then brush them with the other hand, and until you can do those things. Learn to dance, because dancing engages all parts of your brain. So there's a lot of seniors who are fighting the good fight in terms of cognitive decline and doing these things before it hits them, so they develop neuroplasticity. And those are all things that you might see in the future. So I will say this, you've done a fantastic start on your program. Success is not a straight line. Everybody thinks it is. It's usually more like this, and that's okay, because all the learning is in here. All the things that you know and your team gets to know, and the bonding and the relationships are all that's in this messy bit in the middle. But I feel that this program has the right core values. It has a lot of the right processes in place, and more than anything, it has the desire to continue to improve. And when you have that, you can work through the bumps as they come along. So once again, I would like to say thank you so much for inviting me here. It has been my pleasure. The hospitality has been remarkable. We arrived with flowers in our room, more food than I ever would. Wow, I just can't even. The coffee. We had a wonderful time, and I look forward to seeing you again. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Anne, for that wonderful piece. I think the best part of the whole of Anne's keynote was the fact that there's been such a large amount of information that's been shared with us, starting from how Canada is as a country, how her journey has been, and the different possible avenues that healthcare can take in terms of a community-based service, and the different possible avenues for elder care that can exist. We all know that most of the things that are happening in the West, it's not about where they're happening, it's about when they're happening in terms of Bangladesh, because I feel like what's happening there is just a matter of time, like when it will start happening here. So thank you, Anne, for such an informative session. I'll quickly zoom past the rest of the slides now. This is because we have timeline that we promised all of you, and we have some food for you. So Fawzia, I think I'll invite you again, because as the session has been going, I've been saying stuff in English, she's been saying stuff in Bangla, and together we're trying to address all of our audiences, all of you guys, as well as Anne, because she can't understand if I say everything in Bangla. So I was covering how elder care, the program has been going in terms of from our end, right? We've covered some of the recent changes that we've put in elder care. We've seen some of the community-based healthcare that they're providing in other parts of the world, and now we're going to talk about a little bit about the future that we've set for ourselves for the elder care program. I'm going to literally zoom past it, but try and keep up and try and understand and internalize the points I'm trying to make. So the very first segment that I'm going to cover is the processes that we're aiming for developing in our elder care future roadmap, right? So strengthening the supply chain of caregivers is the very, very first change that we're trying to ensure for the future, because the caregivers are the frontline workers for us. For hospitals, it's the doctors. They're the representatives you go to. They're the people who cure you. And you don't even these days go to hospitals. I know that doctor. I will go over there because that's the person I trust. Caregivers are the same for us. They're our most valuable assets over here, the people. And the next thing that we're focusing on for our own processes is accreditation. So Anne has already spoken a lot about the benefits of being accredited, and how it strengthens your internal processes, how it makes you the right person to go to from a client perspective. Like, these guys are people so many others have trusted. These guys are the people I will choose to go to. We're also looking at greater partnership possibilities with hospitals, consultants, nursing institutes, etc. The reason why we're doing this is because, like Anne was saying, there is a circle of healthcare that exists, and really you must cover every segment of that circle, right? So we already work very closely with our hospitals, and we have that experience. Sajida happens to be in a very unique position where we do so many diverse things of healthcare, starting from mental health to full secondary care hospitals, to some services that are truly unique, like elder care and inner circle, where we look after the special needs children, right? So it's all about working with more stakeholders in this whole circle of trust, and making sure that SAJIDA Foundation is able to make all of our clients better, their lives better, bringing health, happiness, and dignity to all of them, right? The quality of ICU level care, that is something that we want to bring to the home level care as well. This is because ICU level care is extremely expensive in our country, and also the future of home healthcare is really at home. We all know how difficult it is to get around in Dhaka city. You wouldn't go to hospitals in the near future as much, because hospitals are really specialized needs. You would probably go to a hospital, but your recovery would be at home, right? So home care is going to develop far more in the coming future. So we want to stay ahead of ourselves in that aspect as well, by developing our internal processes aligned with that. Extend services to all areas of Dhaka city and Chittagong city. Those are in our roadmap as well, because Dhaka, we cover a very small sector of Dhaka today, and we're purposefully doing it because we want to make sure our service is very good before we start servicing more clients. But since we are focusing on strengthening our supply chain, it only makes sense that we start letting in more demand come towards meeting that supply, right? The second segment that I'm going to cover for the future of elder care is for our people. So these people are the caregivers. These people are the 7 team members that are running this elder care service today. It's a very small team, but we must invest in them equally, because we are trying to give them dignity in their work as well. The thing that I touched on early on in the presentation, that our caregivers, sometimes they also face challenges in their service delivery, right? They're also human beings, so it's up to us to find a constructive way of bringing them some dignity as well. So we started with dresses, we started with IDs. Next up for them is medkits, that professional looking bag that doctors carry with them. We want our caregivers to carry them as well, so they understand they're a specialized service at the end of the day, right? We want to give them mobile devices. This is actually going to help us and them at the same time. Them, because they can learn things on the mobile device. When they're working in hospitals, there is a lot of learning going on from the doctors around them, from the senior nurses. When they're confined within your homes, it's difficult to get that same kind of learning. So we have to supplement it with some kind of learning mechanism for them. So the mobile devices would help them that way, and the mobile devices would help us because it would enable us to manage them better. We can communicate with them better. We can let them know when a schedule is due, when an appointment is due. We can let them know when to clock in, clock out. All of those processes would be much easier for us. We are going to continuously invest in our training for them, and we're going to work on standardization and quick delivery of our services. So those are some of the things that we're going to invest in the future for our people. The last bit for our clients for the future. So Anne was touching on the strength of wearables and how they can really benefit you, alerting you about something that you are not normally aware of, right? So investing in health vitals observations is the next roadmap, on the roadmap for us in the near future from a client perspective. This is the client's facing changes that we want to bring in, because if we can track a client's health very accurately through technology, that would only ensure that our client is serviced better, and that would also reduce risk on our side, because we will be able to pick up early that now my time has ended. This is no longer a caregiving issue. This needs immediate attention at a hospital level issue, right? So we would be, making sure everyone is better that way. We want to focus on improved reporting for our clients. Azad has already talked about how our clients can now see things on a dashboard in terms of payment and also like what's due and what's covered already. But we want to make sure that they get the same amount of information when it comes to the vitals, when it comes to when a caregiver is due, for emergency notifications, alerts, etc. And all of those things are going to be driven through a mobile app that we want to give to our clients. We've already been working with our in-house vendor to do all of that, and some of the things have purposefully not been deployed because we want to refine them better and then give it out. So, Fawzia, do you want to quickly add anything if I have missed something?
হ্যাঁ, সেটাই যেটা ভাইয়া বলতে চাইলো যে আসলে এই তিনটা জিনিসই যখন একসাথে কাজ করবে তখনই কিন্তু একটা বেটার সার্ভিস দেওয়া পসিবল হবে। তাই আমরা এই তিনটা সেক্টরেই কিন্তু সমানভাবে গুরুত্ব দিয়ে সেই ওই সার্ভিসটা যাতে তার লক্ষ্যটা অর্জন করতে পারে সেই অনুযায়ী কিন্তু আমরা কাজ করে যাচ্ছি। এটা চলার পথে কিছু তো সমস্যা হচ্ছে এখন, বাট আমরা যেহেতু একসাথে ওই উদ্দেশ্যে কাজ করছি এবং শিখছি এবং ফিডব্যাকের মাধ্যমে আপনাদের কাছ থেকে অনেকগুলো সাজেশন পাচ্ছি, তো আই হোপ যে আমরা নিয়ার ফিউচারে এই টোটাল সলিউশনটা আনতে পারবো আর কি, ইনশাআল্লাহ।
Thank you. So, continuing on, so we've covered some of the recent changes, some of the future, possibilities for us, and the last bit is like the ongoing challenges that we keep on facing. So, the very big challenge for us is that this is a very young or not fully matured as industry, caregiving at home. So. The problem with that is it's very difficult getting caregivers. Our frontline workers, it's not so easy for us to train them very quickly. It's not so easy for us to find them. Everyone in Bangladesh faces this issue because in Bangladesh, everyone thinks, okay, nursing, I'm studying it. My only pathway is a hospital. Caregiving at home, the industry that it has developed in other nations, in Bangladesh, it's not formalized yet. And this is where we need to engage with all of our stakeholders and our clients and everyone. So that's one of our challenges. Shortage of healthcare, human resources is something that we're going to work on improving. Difficulty in service delivery, like I said, mobility of workers is still an issue. In Bangladesh, traffic is extreme. It's very difficult getting to our clients' home on time, and sometimes that reflects badly on us as a service provider. Sometimes it reflects badly on our clients as well when they lose their temper or are like very upsetting in their behavior towards our caregivers. Dignity for the caregivers is something that we're trying to work on, and we've already shared some of the plans. Some of the last bits of information, I guess. Some of our clients become very emotionally attached with our caregivers. This is very good because our caregivers are the first point of contact, but in terms of maintaining a service, it's very difficult because sometimes our caregivers will need to be, recycled. Someone else needs to go in. They also have a life. They need to go home. So those are some of the challenges that we have to address, and it's all fine. The reason why we're having this community town hall is so that we can open up this dialogue in a constructive way and address all of those challenges going forwards. So that was it. Thank you so much for being with us. We finished exactly at 9. We started 15 minutes late to let everyone come in. I think it's been a very, very nice session of sharing with everyone. So I will just allow all of you to have any questions you want to share with us. We can try and address them now. Anyone?
I had a question.
There's a mic somewhere there.
Actually, it's a very simple question. On one of your first screens, how do you differentiate between a caregiver and a nurse? Because all your staff, I assume, are trained, they're qualified nurses.
Right. Okay. So from what I know, right, if I go back to this slide, right, where we offer some of our... Do you want to? Okay. So we have Ms. Zahida with us, and I think she would like to answer this question personally.
So we have 3 levels of caregivers.
Yes.
So L1. So L1s are generalists,
Yes.
and we provide customized training from the company, and then we'll deploy them in clients' homes.
Yeah.
So L2s are usually diploma nurses or they have some kind of external training from some other institutions. And L3 are usually, they're senior nurses. So that's the kind of
Because my mother is actually one of your clients, and she has two very good caregivers who have recently moved, if you like, internally from level 1 to level 2.
Yes.
And they display a fair amount, one in particular, a lot of sort of medical knowledge and understanding. And I suppose what we didn't get as a client was what I would think of as a CV of the person who's coming to look after my mom. And I actually think that something like that is actually quite useful. So it's not just about having a personal interview with the caregiver. I mean, my mother chose, dare I say it, between two foundations that we interviewed. She chose SAJIDA based on her personal meeting with the two young ladies who came. But for me, as her daughter, and I don't live here, having, a piece of paper that says so-and-so, qualifications, experience, background, blah, 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 it's not all of it, but it does help. And so that was part of my question, is that how do you differentiate in terms of their actual academic stroke, technical, professional experience, expertise, etc. Because then it's also about, moving from one to the other. If she becomes a level care, and obviously a 3, then somebody else has to come in. But the fact that she was able to keep the same two carers, going from 1 to 2.
So what I just answered a little while ago, so we started with that, right? So L1, it would say in our brochure that they have these qualifications, L2s and L3s. So when we initially started, it was like that. But then we realized that some of the L2s and L3s, over time with experience, we see them graduating internally with training. And they are performing much better than an L2 diploma nurse coming from a nursing institute. So our L1, having a 10 years experience with some other organization and our training, they're performing much better than an L2 because in Bangladesh that's a major challenge, that the quality of education, nursing education, is still a major challenge that we have to deal with. So that's why we actually stopped doing that. But internally we have a mechanism where we, through training and through our observation, and we do a performance evaluation every year. So through that we graduate them to different levels. So it would be kind of certified by us that this person is now can perform an L2, L2 activity. So that is why, exactly from living abroad, it gives you the comfort zone to see the CVs, to see the background. We understood that, and we when as it was described, that it is kind of a learning process, and we are trying to learn, getting feedback from our clients, and we saw that it's not. We are not being able to do that because L2, we are saying L2, but actually the performance is probably below L1 without our training. So that's the reason, we stopped sharing or just labeling that this person is that. But since, we want to grow with our clients, we want constant feedback. And we are, we're more than happy to work with you to do the certification. So that is one of the things that we did in our last performance evaluation. Actually, we asked our clients about the caregiver. So not only it was our internal evaluation, it was the client's evaluation that were taken. So how do you feel about this client? So that is some of the processes, and talked about sanitization, and so that is something actually we feel that we really need to work on that, so that it's okay to get emotionally attached with one particular caregiver, but it is more so, we feel, that one is an emotional aspect of the situation, but another is that actually we see our clients contributing so much in training because they are grooming themselves, customizing our caregivers to their needs, because yet we are not being able to standardize our service or standardize our training. So if, for example, we are confident that it's A is equal to B, so the clients won't resist so much when we do a change or we kind of replace a caregiver, and we recognize that it's one is an emotional aspect of it, that you have seen this person over a period of time, or you see these two caregivers over a period of time, so you get comfortable. That's one aspect. But another aspect, we recognize that we cannot promise the standard quality service with each of our caregivers. So because we are yet to kind of, as she was saying about accreditation, so that's why we are like constantly like trying to identify people like Anne or some other consultants from different parts of the world. So we are trying to have some partnerships with India, because their home health has grown as an industry, and culturally we are quite similar, so we are talking to them also. So we actually see them, they see ourselves going a long way, because we are investing a lot. We are investing a lot. But if you ask me that whether we are happy with our service, our answer is no. Because we feel that we recognize that we have a long way to do. So that's why this is for us just a beginning and learning process, and clients like you actually we get a lot of learning from all of you.
Thank you, Ms. Zahida, for those wonderful points. And Ms., just to add a little bit more, the problem that you're speaking of course, some of those have already been answered to some extent by our Ms. Zahida, but the mobile app access that we were planning for, this is something that we had in mind, where those kinds of changes in the caregiver that's being delivered to you, we know that part of the problem why clients are resistant to accepting a new caregiver is there's no trust, like they don't know who's coming in. So all of those changes could be delivered through that app.
My mother didn't have a change of caregiver. It was the level that changed, and both those young women were already level 2 qualified. So they were able to deal with the change in her situation, which was great for me. But just picking up on what I asked earlier, my mother has just been diagnosed with dementia. So my question then would be that if the current caregivers do not have dementia training, is that something that you would seek to put in for them? Because it's good for them professionally, but obviously it helps them in their current situation.
Yeah, definitely. So we try to cope with the changes in different situations and circumstances, and we bring our caregivers. But the problem, I must admit that the expertise. We are still looking for different types of expertise who can train the caregivers. For example, giving specific trainings, how to deal with a dementia, a person with dementia. So we are still looking for those expertise, but most of our clients, actually this issue is very common. So most of our clients are being is kind of diagnosed with dementia or pre-dementia kind of situation. So because most of our clients are elderly, so we see this as a common problem. So when we are customizing our training, so this is a major kind of area that we would tackle.
Thank you.
Yes, it's definitely we would. Yeah. This is that would be kind of, in the regular curriculum, dementia is a major component, because that's a very common thing that we see among all our clients. Yeah. I wanted to ask you, please.
I would like to know more about your emergency services or on-call doctors. So I come from the Arakan community, and we have a family, about 100 family units in a colony, and there are a lot of elderly people that we have to look after. And then at the middle of the night, we need some doctors, and we don't want to rush to Apollo, So what services are you planning to offer?
We already offer actually. So our contact person is our supervisors, and we have one supervisor on call 24 hours.
Okay.
So if you call our on-call supervisor, so that person would immediately kind of react. So whether this person needs a doctor, a doctor to be brought at home, or this person needs to be hospitalized, so starting from arranging the ambulance,
Yes.
Transportation, everything. So we have, actually a significant number of our clients whose children live abroad. So we do the cycle that she was talking about. So for example, starting from caregiving service. So what you do when you are kind of in an emergency situation, then follow up with the children abroad. And also, gradually we see that the person needing assistive devices.
Yes.
So we also supply assistive devices. So arrange for diagnostic tests whenever it's needed. And so we usually now we don't impose any doctor. Like we have a pool of doctors who can attend to, but usually we prefer that the family kind of introduce us to the family doctor or the physician that the client is currently attached with. So the supervisor would contact the doctor to get assistance or advice.
We are more looking for a doctor who would come in the
Yes,
middle of the night.
we do have that service, of course,
whatever
but
it
there
is.
is challenges.
Yes, of course, I understand.
We have that pool of doctors, so
Yes.
usually, they are available, but of course, you have to they're trying to make the pool bigger and bigger. So that, if one doctor cannot attend, so there's always somebody else. Yes. So that service we already provide. Yes. Yes. So same as physiotherapy. So
No,
that's.
I've taken nurses for the community people from SAJIDA Foundation and treated a couple of elderly people in the community.
Yes. That we are trying to provide the whole cycle. Pharmacy services, for example. So we see that all children are abroad, or there's no support system in place. Sometimes they would we would also go to the pharmacy and buy medicines for the client and provide those services. So these are the things that we are trying to standardize now. So now it's very client specific. So not all the clients are needing these services. So we are customizing it. But now we want to kind of standardize it. So these are the services that are available, and this is how you can avail it. So that's why, from a communication or marketing perspective, we are not doing that so much as yet, because yet we are kind of piloting different things. So we don't want to kind of market it, and we don't want to actually promise something which we are not sure that we would be able to deliver all the time. So hopefully pretty soon we would be able to do that, and we have done it, and we have done it in many cases already. So, but since we are thinking of scaling, we are taking our time to kind of reassure our clients that actually these services are already available.
Okay.
Yeah. They are already available.
Thank you, both of you, for this wonderful discussion. Someone else has a question? We'll have to make it a short one, so.
Yes, we have to.
Yeah. আচ্ছা।
Hello everyone. I'm actually in a competitor's company. I'm Sharad Rahman. I'm CEO and co-founder of Amnesty Limited. I thought it's a public seminar something there, so I came here, but
Yeah,
I
more than
feel it's
welcome.
weird.
It's all right.
We all have to learn together.
Okay. So from my real life experience of 12 months in this sector, I'd like to say there's a huge syndicate, especially in big hospitals like United Hospital, Apollo, and other places. And in case of caring of ICU load patient, it's very difficult for us to penetrate. Like you say that the lack of enough experiences are the staff. So how are you going to break this syndicate?
Okay, so we have thought about this, and you know, honestly, I'm not too comfortable sharing our plan for how to combat that. But to be honest, we all of us have to work together. So thinking about that.
That's what we strongly believe, that that still it's an emerging industry in Bangladesh. So we all learn from each other. So it's fortunate that SAJIDA is kind of fairly large and renowned organization, so it has the capacity to invest, and it's not looking for quick returns. So I have to make this return or this profit, or and it doesn't go into anybody's pocket. So we will continue to invest and make a mark in the home care industry in Bangladesh. So that's why we're very open to kind of any. So we learn from actually we shouldn't say that we are yet competitors, because we feel that the industry has not gone into that stage yet, so that we can call each other competitors.
Right.
So we are kind of sort of learning our way. So we do learn from other organizations, and we actually find solutions that they are using, and we try to incorporate that. It's not that SAJIDA is a brand, so that SAJIDA cannot learn from XYZ. We certainly don't feel that. Yeah.
It's definitely going to be a challenge, because you'll have to make your services that much better so that the clients move, and you won't have to actually face or take up a very muddy battle with hospitals. It's all about converting the clients.
And that's why actually, as Manjula was saying, and Anne is here, so we are actually going around the world, and we are seeing how these solutions are being adapted. So we have those learnings, and we will start implementing. But so it's kind of one step at a time.
So do you have a senior home?
We
Because
don't
we have a client who we want to put him in a senior home.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't have a senior home yet.
No, SAJIDA doesn't.
No, we don't have it, because the reason that we actually had we had a land, we actually had the design already, then we had experts come and see the design, the Canadian experts come and see the design, and a lot of recommendations were given by the Canadian expert. And then we realized that this requires such sophisticated human resources. So having a building is very easy. So who will run it? Who will provide that care? So that expertise is not there yet. So that's why we diverted ourselves into home health, so that we develop a pool of experts, so that they're in a position to kind of run these institutions. So in Bangladesh, the senior citizen homes that we observe is for physically and mentally able elderly people. So but these elderly people very fast go to the change or shift to different levels. So in their life cycle, and how do you address it? So we believe that these senior citizen homes need to be equipped for that. So that's why we actually halted that project. Yeah. But we are going to pilot something very soon, and we'll let you know. Yeah.
Okay, so please let this be the last question because
Yes.
they're going to shut down the lifts literally.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm Dr. Whelan. I'm not going to have to stand leading that session, and I want to just thank the SAJIDA Foundation, and also I want to thank that was very charming and informative. I learned a lot. Currently, I am doing a Masters of Public Health, and I think this is a new concept of elder care in Bangladesh. Hopefully, this market will rise up because everyone is getting elder, and hopefully, SAJIDA Foundation, as this project will run in a long run, we all should clap for them. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Just one last question from that one person. Not anymore. The answers to all the next questions will be there's food. Please have that. Yes, please.
আমি জাস্ট একটা এক্সপেরিয়েন্স শেয়ার করবো, কোশ্চেন করবো না, এক্সপেরিয়েন্স শেয়ার করবো। সেটা হচ্ছে যে আমি ডিরেক্ট কেয়ারগিভার থেকে আমি হেল্প নিয়েছিলাম। সেটা 1 বছর আগে একটা নিয়েছিলাম। সেটা হচ্ছে একজন আমেরিকান ছিলেন, উনি অ্যাপোলো হসপিটালে ভর্তি হয়েছিলেন। তো তখন আমি অ্যাপোলো হসপিটাল ওনারা পারছিলেন না তাকে ম্যানেজ করতে, তখন আমি বাইরে থেকে নিতে হলো। দ্যাট টাইম প্রথম অধ্যায় it was very newly started. তো কি করবো এটা ভেবে পাচ্ছিলাম না। তো যখন অ্যাপোলো ওনারা নার্সরা বলছে যে পারছি না, তো তারা ছিল, আমিও ছিলাম আমাদের কোম্পানির পক্ষ থেকে আর কি। তো আমি কিন্তু এখানকার না, হ্যাঁ, তো আমি তাদেরকে কল করেছিলাম, তখন পেয়েছি। আর রিসেন্টলি হচ্ছে আমাদের কোম্পানির ডিরেক্টর স্যার ছিলেন, উনি এক্সপায়ার করেছেন 3 months আগে। ওনাকে বাসায় সার্ভিস দেওয়া যাচ্ছে এবং অ্যাপোলোতেও দিতে হয়েছে। তো সেই সময় প্রথমটা এবং পরেরটাতে খুব আমার এক্সপিরিয়েন্স এটা হলো যে এখন অনেক ইমপ্রুভ করেছে এবং আমরা জানছিলাম যে আমাদের ডিরেক্টর স্যার উনি এক্সপায়ার করবেন, কার্সিনোমা ব্রেন। তো এই জানার পরেও সার্ভিসটা তাদের কাছ থেকে পেয়েছি, এটা আসলে আউটস্ট্যান্ডিং। আর হ্যাঁ, ম্যাডাম যেটা বললেন যে আসলে আরো ইমপ্রুভ করার প্রয়োজন আছে। আর হোমে সার্ভিস দেওয়াটা আসলে খুবই ডিফিকাল্ট, কারণ যারা সার্ভিস নিচ্ছেন তারা ঠিক আছে, কিন্তু পাশে যারা রিলেটিভসরা আসছেন তারা কিন্তু একটু হয়তো খুব ধরছেন বা এরকম। তো আমার ডিরেক্টর স্যার সার্ভিসকে এরকম হয়ে উঠেছিল যে ওনার বোন ভাই সবাই একজন আমেরিকাতে থাকে, কানাডাতে থাকেন, একজন লন্ডনে থাকেন, ওনারা এসে দেখা করে দিতেন এবং সার্ভিসটা এটা দিচ্ছিলেন তারা এসে। তো সেই সার্ভিসটাও এই জায়গা থেকে পাওয়া গিয়েছে। তো আমি আসলে এই প্রোগ্রামটা অনলাইনে যখন দেখি, জেনে আসলে আমার নিজের কৃতজ্ঞতা থেকে এখানে এসেছি, যে এখানে গিয়ে আমি আর একটু দেখবো যে আসলে পরিসরটা আরো বড় হচ্ছে, আসলে এখন কি অবস্থায় আছে। থ্যাঙ্কস এভরিবডি।
নো, থ্যাংক ইউ। আপনাকে ধন্যবাদ। আপনি নিজে থেকে এটা আগে এসেছেন। আসলে এই কমিউনিটি টাউন হলগুলো করার উদ্দেশ্য একটাই, যে এই ইন্ডাস্ট্রিটা খুবই এখনো ইয়াং। তো আমাদের কম্পিটিটররা হোক, আমাদের ক্লায়েন্টরা হোক, বা জাস্ট ভেরি গ্রেটফুল সিটিজেন্স অফ দিস নেশন হোক, আমরা সবার এসে একসাথে এই নলেজ শেয়ারিং লার্নিং এর মাধ্যমে আসলে উইল গেট টু দ্যাট পয়েন্ট ওয়ার এভরিওয়ান ইজ কভার্ড, নট জাস্ট ইন হসপিটালস, বিকজ দ্যাটস নট ট্রুলি পসিবল, দ্যাটস দ্য রিয়ালিটি। সো ওভাবে করে আমাদের আগাতে হবে। তো আজকের সেশনটা আর কন্টিনিউ আমরা করতে চাচ্ছি না। থ্যাংক ইউ এভরিওয়ান।
Thank you so much.
আর পিছে প্লিজ there is plenty of food. We have healthy options, vegetarian আছে, and there's a grilled chicken healthy option as well. And those of you who have the sweet tooth, we have some eclairs. All of them are very good. Please grab some on your way out or just have them now. Thank you so much.